The other part of their message with the death head, with the patch, is we are the Hells Angels. Don't mess with us. We will beat the crap out of you. It's called the death head, you know. It's not called the we're just going to tap you on the noggin head.
The Hells Angels were formed in America in the 1950s. It wasn't until 1969 that they arrived on these shores, and today police estimate there are 250 fully patched members in the UK and about 100 probationers. But they are only one of the outlaw biker groups operating in the UK today. Others include the Devil's Disciples, the Barbarians and the Patriots. In all, there are believed to be around 25 active clubs with as many as 1,500 members, the biggest of which are the Outlaws, with around 430 members, bitter rivals to the Angels.
The Hells Angels and other outlaw gangs will often wear a 1% badge or a tattoo or a patch. And the 1% comes from the birth of the biker gangs in the late 1940s in America, when bikers rolled into a small town in California and trashed it. Legitimate motorcyclists said 99% of us are peace-loving, law-abiding motorcyclists. And the outlaw bikers said, we're the 1%. When I've talked to Hells Angels leaders, on the one hand they'll say we're not criminals, but on the other hand they say we respect only our own laws and we will settle our own legal matters.
And Gerry Tobin was proud to be a 1%er with the Hells Angels. As the hedonistic Bulldog Bash came to an end, he joined hundreds of other bikers making their way home among the Sunday drivers and holiday traffic.
They left the Bulldog Bash, I think, at around 1:45 or 1:50 on the afternoon of Sunday the 12th of August and travelled north.
Gerry rode as the lead of the 3-bike convoy. He was followed by 2 probationers. This was a strict part of the Hells Angel code. The probationers have to show respect for the fully patched member.
There they are, there they are, they're there.
Gerry's patches that he wore with such pride were to turn him into an obvious target. After a weekend at the Hells Angels Bulldog Bash Festival, Gerry Tobin is heading for home. He's caught on CCTV filling up at a petrol station. 20 minutes later, he'd become part of a sickening scene, murdered in broad daylight.
Having fueled his motorcycle at these pumps, he walked across and there was a camera on the corner of the building over there, the shop building. And for some reason which was never explained and we'll never know, is he glanced up and he looked at the camera and smiled up at the camera before going in to pay and then leaving and then heading off to the motorway.
At about 2:10, Gerry Tobin passed a green Rover in a lay-by on the A40.
And as the bikes came down here and passed, the green Rover would have recognised the patches on Gerry's back and the fact that he was a Hells Angel, and pulled very quickly at great speed off of this lay-by. So much so that another witness driving down had to swerve to avoid the car coming off.
M40, if they're going on the M40, follow them on the M40.
The 3 motorcycles, apparently unaware of this, carried on down this road towards the M40, followed then by the green Rover.
I was joining the M40 off of the A46, and in the particular lanes as you approach the main junction, I was actually undertaken by a green Rover 600 with a number of occupants, and I actually noted it at the time because I thought that was a particularly clean example. So I made a mental note of that particular vehicle, and it wasn't until later that the press asked for information on this 600 Rover.
At 2:17, Gerry Tobin enters the M40. being followed by the Green Rover.
Well, this is the overbridge over junction 13. So this is the last junction that Gerry would have travelled past before he was shot. He would have travelled from the north, which is the direction over there. He would have travelled south on that carriageway, under this bridge. So from this point on, Gerry was probably 1 minute away from being shot.
We're going to do this. Let's do this. Let's get him on. Get the sheet. Get him out of the way. Get that little bastard. Get a bit more. Bit closer. Bit closer. Now. Shoot it.
Warwickshire Police, how may I help you?
Hello? We're just driving south on the M40 motorway. We're just coming up to the Warwick service station. There's a motorcyclist laying flat out in the middle of the fast lane. Somebody needs to get here pretty bloody quickly.
At 2:23, a 999 call was made, and within minutes the emergency services were on the scene. The police were faced with a man dead on the tarmac, his friends frantically trying to save his life. His beloved Harley had continued riderless for 100 metres. And one of Britain's major motorways became a crime scene.
First of all, when you have a crime scene, what you're trying to do is to preserve the evidence. You don't want your forensic evidence disappearing off in the treads of tyres or on people's feet and so on. That's at any crime scene, and so the M40 posed some real particular challenges.
At 2:29, the paramedics arrived at the scene. They did what they could, but Gerry was pronounced dead at 2:47. The Warwickshire Police were now dealing with a major investigation.
It was suggested by a paramedic fairly soon into it that he thought maybe there was a possibility of the victim having been shot.
The M40 was now a murder scene and would remain closed while forensic teams pored over it with a fine-tooth comb.
We didn't know at that time from where he'd been shot. From a static point at the side of the motorway, from a vehicle travelling in north or southerly direction. We weren't sure about anything there, so we had to preserve everything.
The police desperate